Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Week 8 upsets to bet. Listen, every year we do better on the upsets than everyone. Last week we hit them, and sometimes you just have to embrace the chaos. You have to get your Joker paint and put it on and understand this league is going to have volatile weeks. Let's slide into another one. Week 8 upsets. I'm going Cincinnati Bengals at the San Francisco 49ers. Bengals are plus 5.5, and I know logic says 49ers bounce back position, 49ers at home, Shanahan's not going to lose to Zach Taylor. I get it, but one thing people have been underestimating and one thing people have been losing money on is Burrow's back, man, and I'm not saying he's 100%, but I'm saying he's more than capable of moving around in the pocket. We even saw him do a spin-a-rooney and throw it 60 yards deep against the Cardinals. We hit the Cardinals money pick with the Bengals. We hit the Seahawks money pick with the Bengals, and now they get a bye week to get healthy, to regroup. I like them in this situation, and the more I see this game, especially this spread, the more I'm salivating. Now, let's talk about the biggest matchup in this game. I know everyone wants to talk about the 49ers defense. They've been very, very fruitful for us. But I want to talk about this Bengals defense versus the 49ers offense. And I don't know about you guys, but that Purdy performance against Brian Flores' Minnesota defense just wasn't good enough. Yes, that Vikings defense has gotten a lot better, but we know it's a bottom third when you look at talent top to bottom. And we saw Purdy struggle, and dare I say, we saw him lose a little bit of confidence. And I think the big part of this game is, are the 49ers going to be able to run the ball? And the Bengals defense, you can say what you will about them, but they're tough, they fight, and they're not going to give up. I think the Bengals sell out to stop the run. I think they'll take a few big play-action plays to Ayuk, to Kittle. I think the Bengals will accept that, but I think this Bengals defense will come in with two things in mind: stop the run and be extremely physical. They're going to first Brock Purdy to beat them, and when I look at this 49ers defense, we know it's one of the best in the league. I would suggest doing what the Chiefs did last year. You got to spread them out, 3-4 wide receivers, and you can't just throw it underneath. You have to be able to test them deep. I'm curious about the X's and O's, if the 49ers will get up and press man-to-man. I think Burrow's got the health to sling it over the top, and that's a situation the Bengals offense doesn't get. Most teams just play shell coverage. I think the 49ers try to get up in their grill, and I think Burrow makes the bigger plays than Purdy here. Give me the Bengals. I'm loving it with the points, and I think they fucking win the game, man. Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Indianapolis Colts. Saints +1. I've been off this Saints bandwagon the whole year, but I do think this is a great week to bet them. And I know the Colts have shown improvement and progress this whole season. They put up 30 points against a really, really good Browns defense, and you don't want to take anything away from them. But this is the Saints Alamo game. This is their season on the line. And I know people are saying Dome Stadium. Saints are not used to playing in a Dome Stadium. I don't think home field makes any advantage here. I don't know why people are talking about that. What needs to happen is Carr needs to play better. He's got Olave, he's got Thomas, he's got Shaheed, and I think this is the game where we see Carr play better. Now, we know this Colts front seven, even without Grover Stewart, is really physical, and they're really good in their run fits. But I think this is a game where the Saints have matchup issues. The Saints have matchup advantages against this Colts secondary, and I think that's how they beat it. And I know Carmichael, he's just been running it up the middle. The play calling's been poor. I think they get better play calling. I think they throw it deeper, and I think Carr makes big plays. And I'm also not sure, I think we're going to see more Minshew against Jacksonville than we did against the Browns. And can we just admit the Browns made a lot of terrible mistakes on defense, like blowing a basic cover 3. I don't know what Denzel Ward was doing. Saints better bring their A game. They better come in here and play physical. And I think they do. I know Saints bettors have been waiting for it the whole season. We've been fading them, but I'm riding them this week. Saints +1. Next game, we got the Los Angeles Rams. Stafford at the Dallas Cowboys. Them boys. Rams +6.5. Listen, I understand. I could be walking myself into an ambush here. I could be encircling myself with this one. We did see what the Rams did against the Steelers last week. It wasn't good enough, and we can talk about the refs. We can talk about that Pickett play to end the game, but the Rams just simply weren't good enough, and I worry about Micah Parsons here, but I'm also worried about this Dallas Cowboys team. I'm worried about Mike McCarthy. I'm worried about a lot of his in-game coaching decisions. And I think that plays a factor in keeping it close. And I think if the Rams have this close in the fourth quarter, they'll be able to pull it out. And ever since Trayvon Diggs got hurt for the Cowboys, I do feel like this defense is a little bit more vulnerable. I do feel like it's taken almost the heart and soul out of the defense. And I know I probably sound like a crazy person saying this because we know Micah Parsons is an absolute force of nature, a tornado just waiting to happen. But I think the Rams got a good quick pass game, and I think McVay will pull a rabbit out of the hat. And honestly, McVay needs to respond here. The big reason why I think the Rams pull an upset is this coaching matchup. And we've seen a McVay who just hasn't lived up to his previous record this year. He's made mistakes. He's made puzzling decisions. I do think this Rams team bounces back, but the only way I think the Rams lose this game or don't cover this game is if the Cowboys get up 10 points and then Micah Parsons knows it's going to be a pass, then he absolutely runs roughshod against this weak offensive line. But I'm also not sold on what this Dallas offense is doing. We know what the Rams defense is going to do. They're going to sit in too high shell. They're going to make you move the ball. They're going to stop you in the red zone, and then they're going to get the ball back to Matt with limited damage. That's been the Cowboys' problem, man. The red zone offense has been terrible. The situation football has been terrible, and the coaching has been terrible. I think the Dallas leaves the Rams in this game too long, and then they end up getting smashed. Rams. Next game, we're going out west. We got the Cleveland Browns at the Seattle Seahawks. Browns +3.5. I'm not going away from the Browns. And I'm not trying to get on here and say anything too crazy to back up my pick. But I do feel like with P.J. Walker right now, and it looks like Deshaun Watson's going to miss the game, I feel like the Browns have a better chance to win with P.J. Walker. And if you watched any of those 2 or 3 Deshaun Watson drives, you kind of understand where I'm coming from. I think the Browns get back to basics here, and I think the Seahawks team is extremely vulnerable. I watched the film last night against the Cardinals, and I walked away just rather unimpressed, undazzled, and I do feel like there is something missing from this team. We haven't seen Geno Smith get back to the heights that he hit last year. Remember the first 7-8 games last year? He was whipping work on this whole league. We're just not seeing it. And the Hawks, that offensive line is not pass blocking well. And when you're not pass blocking well, the last man you want to see come in your vicinity is Myles fucking Garrett. And I think Myles Garrett goes off for 2 sacks again. But we can't forget about Zadarius Smith. And I think this is a good bounce back spot. You guys love using that. I think this is a good bounce back spot for the Browns defense. They made mental errors against the Colts that was just unacceptable and undefensible at a certain point. I think Schwartz will have these guys swarming. I'm not sure the Hawks are able to throw it. DK Metcalf is banged up, and then it comes down to is, are the Hawks going to be able to run it against the Browns? I would bet no, and I do think with PJ Walker in there, I do think that adds a little spice, a little bit of dazzle. I think we'll see him run it 6 to 7 times. I think we'll see a more run-heavy approach from this Browns team. And I've been saying all year, I just feel like the Seattle front seven is a little bit vulnerable. I do. I don't have any evidence to prove it, because you could throw out the 10 sacks against the Giants. I'm not buying into that. I'm buying into the Browns winning this game physically, mentally, and I'm not sure Geno Smith makes the necessary plays. And look at some of that game against the Cardinals for the Seahawks. I was just left wanting more. Even against the Panthers, they just looked like shit all year. Give me the Browns bounce back situation. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. The best gambling show on the internet. I appreciate everyone's comments. I love vibing with you guys.